Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly request that guests be seated in the middle and right-hand section of the auditorium, as the left-hand section is for the students. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly request that guests be seated in the middle and right-hand section of the auditorium, as the left-hand section is for the students only. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. My name is Amelina Saifamazli, and with me today are Tesha Harichandran, Hazel Pang, Parveen Kaur, and Kevin Zhang. We will be your masters of ceremony for today's graduation. Welcome to College Tunku Jaffa for our graduating ceremony of the class of 2023. Firstly, we would like to thank Ranchita Bunsin-Suk for her beautiful rendition of Tuski's Loading Screen, Night, by Christina Kong, Rivers and Trees by Ranchita Bunsin-Suk, and Glassworks, Opening Number 1 by Philip Glass. And we would like to thank Celine Ju for her wonderful playing of Carry You, A Town with an Ocean View, and Always With You by Joe Hisashi, and Maybe by Yurima. You will have likely noticed the camera crew around the auditorium. KTJ is again live streaming this event for those who cannot make it here in person. We give a very special welcome to our graduates in absentia and to all of the family and friends watching online.
Before the ceremony begins, please allow me to brief you on this morning's program. When the arrival of Dr. Richard Small and the distinguished guest is announced, we ask you to stand respectfully and welcome the entourage. The students of the graduating class 2023 will then enter the auditorium. We will then begin the formal ceremony with the singing of the national anthem and the school song. Following this, Dr. Richard Small, member of the Boards of Governors and Trustees, will give the opening address and will present the first group of students with their certificates. This will be followed by speeches by the principal, Dr. Glenn Moody, our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Ping Ling, followed by Kim Min-ju, outgoing president of the Student Council, and Yoon Yi-jun, outgoing secretary of the Student Council. Finally, the head of secondary school academic, Mrs. Sarah Chasworth, will address us. In between the speeches, we will award the graduation scrolls. We shall then invite our esteemed guests to depart from the auditorium. At that time, we seek your kind service to stand as they make their way out of the auditorium. The graduating class of 2023 will then proceed outside for a group photograph. Parents are also invited to take photographs of the group, although we request that you remain on the bank of the main field. Following the photograph, parents, KTJ students, and teachers may proceed to the marquees outside the dining hall for refreshments and lunch. Please do not use the inside of the dining hall, as that area is reserved for the students still in school. Graduates and their families will also have a further opportunity to take photographs outside in the photo booths before they move to the marquees for lunch. Lastly, please ensure that your mobile devices are switched off or put on silent throughout the ceremony to minimize disruption. Thank you. Please be upstanding for the arrival of our trustee and governor, Dr. Richard Small, our guest of honor, Dr. Ping Ling, the principal of College Tunku Jaffa, Dr. Glenn Moody, and the head of secondary school academic, Mrs. Sarah Chasworth. Can be seated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment is finally upon us after 2 years of hard studying, the arrival of the graduating class of 2023. Please be upstanding for the school song and the national anthem. Tamir Ikram will now recite the Doa. You may be seated.
Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala ahlihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. We gather here today to express gratitude upon your greatest gift towards us. In conjunction of this event, we ask your help and guidance. Ya Allah, kindly give us strength and courage to face the struggle to find and gain knowledge. Kindly bestow blessings in physical and spiritual health, fitness of mind, peace of mind, and strength of spirit. Ya Allah, grant strength to our teachers to continue to guide us to become students that are committed to our goal to become successful individuals. Rabbana alaika tawakkalna wa ilaika anabna wa ilaika masir. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you to Tamir Ikram for the recitation of the Doa. Thank you to Celine Ju for the beautiful accompaniment to the national anthem and the school song. And again also to Rinchina Bunsinsuk.
A very warm welcome to our Governor and Trustee, Dr. Richard Small, our esteemed guest, Dr. Ping Ling, KTJ Principal, Dr. Glenn Moody, parents, teachers, and especially graduating students of 2023. Our school principal, Dr. Glenn Moody, will now address the graduating class of 2023.
Dr. Richard Small, member of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Ping Ling, our guest speaker today, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, staff and students, Salamat Pagi. Good morning and welcome to our first ever Form 5 graduation ceremony at College Tuanku Jaffa. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today, surrounded by our Form 5 students and their families to celebrate their remarkable achievements. And well done for being so prompt and getting here on time. It's meant that we can start absolutely on time, and Ms. Emma wanted me to pass on thanks to everyone for that. Some of you have been a part of this school community for more than a decade now, while others of you joined more recently. Regardless of the length of your journey, we gather here to acknowledge your significant contributions to the school and to share in the joy of reaching this important milestone. And I'm sure IGCSE exams are now a distant speck in the rearview mirror. On this special occasion, it is customary to offer words of wisdom. Today, I draw my inspiration from Bill Gates' recent graduation speech at the University of Northern Arizona, using his 5 key pieces of advice as a foundation. While the headlines belong to him, the details have been shaped to resonate with our own graduating students. First, remember that life is not a one-act play. You do not need to feel pressured to achieve everything, everywhere, all at once. Take your time, for good things come to those who wait. Each person reaches their own pinnacle at different points in their life's journey, and there is nothing wrong with that. Embrace the experiences you gather along the way, for they will always be to your advantage. Secondly, never believe that you are too smart to be confused. Avoid the tendency to pretend you have knowledge which you do not possess. In life, progress is made by asking questions and humbly learning from others. Take your cue from young children who ask thousands of questions each day and thereby develop their understanding so quickly. Thirdly, seek work that addresses important problems. This may prove challenging, but it is crucial for leading a fulfilling life. Do not settle for a job where you merely count down the hours until the weekend. Such an approach will make you wish away a significant portion of your life. The true goal in life should be happiness, and you will not achieve it if your work lacks purpose. Fourthly, never underestimate the power of friendship. You have forged meaningful connections with wonderful friends during your time at KTJ, and many of these friendships will last a lifetime. Friends are there to support, guide, and uplift you. This is the essence of friendship. Therefore, make it a priority to be a good friend and offer support to others along their journey as well. Lastly, remember that cutting yourself some slack does not make you a slacker. Bill Gates openly admitted that he regretted working excessively hard in the early days and pushing others to do the same. While your work should give you purpose, it is equally important to find purpose in other aspects of life. Cherish the time spent with family, engage in special experiences, and pursue hobbies that ignite your passions. Do not be afraid to protect your own time and to strive for balance. So there you have it, some valuable advice, though not entirely my own. Life is not a one-act play. You are never too smart to be confused. Seek work that addresses important problems. Never underestimate the power of friendship. And cutting yourself some slack does not make you a slacker. As you embark on your future endeavors, I wish you all the best of luck. For those of you leaving us today, we will miss you, but remember that no matter where life takes you, you will always be a part of KTJ. We wholeheartedly thank you for your invaluable contributions to this special place. Congratulations, Form 5 graduates. Tarima Kasi.
Dr. Glenn, we invite you to please remain on stage and present some students with the graduation scrolls.
Aisha Tisha Mohammed. Aisha Thera Mohammed Ferak. Aliyah Zara binti Sharakba. Amir Haikal Shah Ewan. Amar Harris bin Abdul Hafiz. Awang Kieran Zachary Awang Rizelman. Brian Hu John Tang. Brian Ku Zen Hao. Carlos William Lau. Celine Ju. Chan Seng Lee Rebecca. Chin Kai Shen. Chao Jie Yi. Chao Jing Wen. Connie Tan Shin. Dandelion Hazel Bay Hardway. Emir bin Zulkifli. Eng Hui Chi Jesslyn. Erica Naomi Yoshi. Fang Langu Anna. Fatin Mardia Darwis. Fasina Prasanna Vergis. Thank you, Dr. Glenn.
We are honored to invite Dato' Richard Small, College Tunku Jaffa Trustee and Governor, to address our guests and graduating students.
Good morning to everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'd like to start by saying that I feel very privileged to have been invited as the guest of honor to the fifth form graduation. It's apparently the first one, and so it's a great honor that I'm able to be here. I've been wondering what to say to address people who have just completed Form 5 and who are at a crossroads in their educational story. Now, I know I'm talking to the students now who are graduating, you've been listening an awful lot since Form 1, maybe even in primary school too. And so I thought I'd approach this very short talk a little bit differently. I asked ChatGTP to provide me with a speech, but it failed badly. So what is the future for you?
what kind of crossroads are you at? And what kind of crossroads are we all at? And I thought I'd begin by saying that we learn nowadays much more from events and personal experiences than we do from facts. Google is able to provide facts for everybody all the time. And looking back on my life, which is quite long, my most valuable learning experiences have been from things that I've actually gone through personally myself. And so I wanted to recount a little story of my life many, many years ago. Difficult to believe, difficult even to remember. I actually worked for an airline. Not a pilot, not an engineer, but I actually worked for an airline. And we were flying back in one of the first wide-bodied aircraft that existed, the TriStar. 3 engines, TriStar. And we were flying back from the Caribbean. And in those days, of course, you couldn't fly from the Caribbean to London in one shot because you had to refuel. And we were due to refuel in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. And we duly did that and took off from Halifax, heading eastwards to Gatwick Airport in London. And I was then invited into the cockpit as a privilege because I worked for the airline. And this was a jumbo cockpit with 2 seats up front, a pilot and a co-pilot, a seat on the right for the engineer, and 1 seat that they call the jump seat, which is an extra seat. And I was privileged to sit in this as we took off over the Atlantic on our eastward flight. And suddenly, I noticed the captain look at the first officer and say, "Something with number 2?" And he said, "Yeah." And the engineer looked at the dial, and I could just see the dials, and there were 3 dials, TriStar, 3 engines. There were 3 dials, and 2 of them were at full, and number 2 was empty, in other words, not working. The problem with number 2. And then there was a pause. I don't know what could have caused that. I was beginning to get a bit scared, but they were not. Then the captain said, "If we fly back now for repairs, which Canadian city has the nicest restaurants? Where shall we choose to go?" And the captain said, "I think it's Montreal." He said, "But Halifax has got good restaurants too." So they turned the plane around, and I was really scared all this time. And I was then asked to go back into the cabin, away, to let them do their business. I noticed how incredibly calm they were. They said nothing to the passengers whatsoever. Until the last minute, they said, "If you look out of your windows now, you will see land, and it's a bit early. This is not England. We've actually come back to Canada because we have a very small problem with one of our engines. Very small problem. This aircraft is good enough to fly on 2 engines only. We could easily have got you to London on 2 engines, but we don't work like that as a company. We don't take any risks. So I'm sorry to tell you that in 2 minutes, we'll be landing back at Halifax, Nova Scotia, and we shall repair the engine as quickly as we can and get on with it." Now, this was an experience I shall never forget. The captain and the engineer had presumably gone through this many, many times before. But for me, it was new. And what did I learn from it? It was the way they communicated. And I'm sure that Dr. Ping Ling will agree with me that communicating also as a doctor or a pilot or an engineer or a lawyer, it's a process that has to be very carefully learned. There was absolutely no panic, no fright. They'd worked out what they were going to say for maximum comfort for the passengers who could have been very worried. And I think, therefore, that communication is the theme of what I've got to say today. Communication and soft skills are what you need, not knowledge so much. Again, I was delighted to meet Dr. Ping. I've been privileged to be interviewer for some of the medical colleges in the UK in the past, and I'm always fascinated by the way that they're not really looking at the scientific knowledge. They assume that people with reasonable A-levels have the science. What they're looking for is people who can communicate, who have the soft skills, who are able to work together in teams. Not only work in teams, but when the time is right, also to take a leadership role and to lead those teams. And so, if I have a message for you today, it is, please study the soft skills you will need in employment. Do your colleagues like you? Do you get on? Do you make an effort to get on with people? Or do you feel that when you're in a position of leadership, you can boss people around and be unpleasant? In today's world, all work that I can think of is in teams. It's working with other people. And the relationship that you set up with the other people that you're working with is the most important thing. So working in teams, taking on a leadership role when necessary, looking after your relationships, and communicating accurately are perhaps the most important things. And I think the last thing I would say is this. You're obviously, you, the students, have come to a point in your life when you're making choices. Some of you already have your eyes on university. Some of you have your eyes perhaps on the workplace, or to do some other kind of course leading to a further qualification. Please choose what you love. Don't follow a course which is going to be miserable for you. So when you're thinking of subjects or work tracks or whatever it is, go with what you love. You may not earn quite as much money as some of your colleagues, but you'll be much happier. And I think with that, I'd like to congratulate all the Form 5 graduates today. Wish you the very best of luck for your future. Please keep in touch with KTJ. And once more, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Richard Small, for those warm words. Dato, we invite you to please remain on stage, and we kindly request that you now present the graduating certificates to our second group of students.
Faiz Alhad Saleh Al-Dalali. Fu Jun Cheng Kiran. Griyashini Anbananthan. Guan Hao Che. Han Won Sok. Harsha Mohandas. Heng Kien Hao. Idris Abdul Rahim. Isabel Aurelia Wijaya. Isabel Lai Weng Tong. Jaden Poi Kian Jin. Jaden To Wei Han. Catherine Tan. Kenji Benedict Darmawan. Kara Nafisa binti Muhammad Hazli. Kor Hui Ru Brenda. Killian James Hughes. Kim Min Ju. Ko Chi Yuan. Lai Jian Yu. Lam Jie Sheng. Lennis Yung Policarpio. Larry Huang. Lee Ji Hun. Thank you, Dr. Richard Small. We are delighted to welcome graduating student Celine Ju to play Hanabi by Joe Hisaishi. Thank you, Celine, for playing Hanabi by Joe Hisaishi for us.
We are delighted to have a KTJ alumna as our guest speaker, Dr. Ping Ling. Ping Ling is a doctor registered with both the UK General and Malaysian Medical Councils. After training at King's College London, UK, and graduating in 2011, she worked as a junior doctor in NHS Scotland and then relocated to the public health sector in Malaysia. She has more than 8 years of experience in internal medicine, managing chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. She is currently a general practitioner in Clinic Sana, Sri Petaling, and most recently spent the past 4 years working as GP in Klang Valley, with a strong focus on internal medicine. Preventative medicine, chronic disease management, and public health have always been her special interests. She dedicated her special studies thesis during medical school to this area, including the effect of antioxidants on Alzheimer's disease and the pathophysiology and management of heart failure. With her experience as a health screening doctor in Subang Jaya Medical Center, Dr. is passionate about engaging with the public on the importance of early screening for early intervention to improve patient outcomes. Highly proficient in English, Malay, Mandarin, Hokkien, and Cantonese, Dr. is empathetic and understands patients' concerns. As a trusted, patient-focused physician, she is able to help patients with early diagnosis, necessary treatment, and prevention of serious illness.
All right, thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, faculty members, proud parents, and most importantly, the remarkable students graduating class of 2023. My name is Ping Ling, more commonly known by my patients and colleagues as Dr. Wow, what an amazing and honor experience to be back here at this stage, looking out at all of you. The last time I was here was probably some 20 years ago during my own graduation. I stand before you today, humbled and honored to celebrate these momentous occasions of yours. Graduation is a milestone that symbolizes culminations of years of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Today, we come together to acknowledge these achievements. As I look out at this sea of talented individuals, I can't help but feel overwhelmed with a sense of pride and admiration. Each and every one of you has demonstrated immense courage and resilience in the face of challenges, and it is this spirit that has brought us here today. You have overcome countless exams, assignments, and burning midnight oil, all in the pursuit of knowledge and personal growth. Your determination has paid off, and you should be immensely proud of yourselves. But let us not forget that those who gave us a leg up so we can be here today, our parents, families, friends, and teachers who have been our support system, providing us with relentless encouragements and unwavering love. They have celebrated our successes, offered us a shoulder to lean on during setbacks, and believed in us when we doubted ourselves. So, let us take this moment to express our utmost gratitude to those who have been there every step of the way. Now, I'm aware I was given a theme to talk about, which is social responsibility. I get it in today's world, we're getting ever more interconnected with each other through the internet, and we should be more aware of the impact our actions have on those around us. However, rather than elaborating on social responsibility, I guess I would digress a little and ask you to first focus being responsible to yourself. You only live once. You owe the responsibility to yourself to always do your best, to make healthy choices in life, whether it's to have more greens in your diet, to exercise and keep healthy, to choose a compatible partner where you help each other grow and become the best versions of yourself, or to pick the right career where it helps you to fulfill your life purpose. As we stand on the precipice of the unknown, about to step into a wider world, it is only natural to feel a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The sea vast ahead of us may seem daunting, but I implore you to find your lighthouse. Figure out what you stand for in life and why you started out doing what you're doing. Do things that you enjoy rather than trying to fulfill tick boxes. In life, when we get lost, it is often not the lack of knowledge of where we are that presents the challenge, but a loss of sight of where we are going or the loss of sense of purpose that causes despair. For when we always have sight of our purpose, we know that our current situation is only temporary. You are the person responsible for ensuring that your lighthouse can propel you past exhaustion. I'll give you my example. I was appointed as the person in charge to lead and coordinate the national COVID vaccination program back in 2021 during the height of pandemic. At that time, I worked almost 15 hours per day from Monday to Sunday with no exception on public holidays, with the goal to inoculate as many people as possible in the shortest period of time. Well, none of these experiences may be particularly pleasurable at the time that they are taking place, but afterward, we look back on them and say, wow, that was really meaningful, especially when we hear major hospitals are breathing a sigh of relief after seeing a drop in the number of Category 4, Category 5 COVID patients requiring admission to ICU weeks after the vaccination rollout. Personally, for me, this is my purpose as a doctor. Honestly, if you ask me, are there any moments where I regretted choosing medicine? I'll be lying to you if I say no. And it's definitely not helping when you see your mates dress up glamorously going for clubbing while you were tucked away in your PJs typing away voraciously to submit a dissertation on heart failure. It doesn't seem any easier either when you have to miss out on festivals, family vacations, and celebrations with your loved ones on numerous occasions because hospital obviously does not close for the holidays. This reality is something that I never thought of when I started medical school, but it has been the reality for the past 12 years of my life. However, throughout my work, I realized that happiness and the satisfaction of practicing medicine will come in its own time. Sometimes, a grateful tear of relief from the patient is enough to soothe the hungry stomach. A simple thank you will make the long, tedious working hours seem a tad bit bearable. What I'm trying to say is, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning. Regardless of the path we choose, let us remember the importance of continuous learning. You should enjoy learning rather than let learning become an external imposition. Don't get complacent feeling that the attention invested in learning a new set of skills or new direction is wasted unless there's good chance of reaping extrinsic reward for it. The waiting room of psychiatries these days are filled with rich and successful people who in their 40s or 50s suddenly wakes up to the fact that a plush home, luxury cars, and even an Ivy League education are not enough to bring them peace of mind. Once again, find your purpose in life and do things that bring you closer to that purpose. Along the way, remember to also foster connections, build relationships, for success is not solely determined by individual achievement. It is often the result of collaboration and collective efforts. Hold yourself accountable for surrounding yourself with individuals who not only inspire you, but who want to support you as much as you wanted to support them. The camaraderie and friendship built during my academic years really helped me get through those grueling years of training. In fact, I met my best friend here in KTJ, and she's here with me today. Lastly, do not forget the importance of kindness and empathy. In a world that is ever more interconnected, we do have our duty to society to spread compassion and kindness. We are all participants in this world's ecosystem, and because of that, the distinction disappears between helping ourselves and helping others. Embrace diversity, celebrate different perspectives, and try to make a positive impact on the lives of others. A society grows great when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit in. In conclusion, my fellow graduates, today we celebrate our accomplishment, but let us not forget that this is just the beginning. The world awaits our contribution, passions, and ideas. As we embark on this new journey, may we carry the lessons we have learned, the friendships we have forged, and the memories we have created here in KTJ. Congratulations once again, class of 2023. I have no doubt that each and every one of you will achieve great success, but remember that you're unique and so much more than the credentials on your CV. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ping Ling. We kindly request that you remain on stage to present the next group of students with their graduation scrolls.
Lee Jia Eun, Claire. Lee Xin Yi. Lester Lau Ming Kiat. Lim Yik Hong. Leong Yan Chi, LeBron. Mark Hugh Kui Siang. Maya Lian Tiagaraja. Magat Muhammad bin Magat Ahmad Ritaudin. Melvin Isfandia Rakmatiana. Moritz Heinrichs. Muhammad Harith Wafiq. Nam Won Hee, Sarah. Eng Bun Yi, Bethany. Eng Song Cheng. Eng Wen Hui. Nourish Muhammad Irzan. Rachel Woo Young Eun. Runshida Bunsin Suk. Sammy Sim Yu. Sharifa Mayada Said Haizir. Sharif Luka Rutlan bin Adam Ratlan. Siddharth Nagarajan. Siti Elisha Jasmine. Soichiro Sasaki. Sylvia Wong Ziqi. Thank you, Dr. Ping Ling. Your words are even more meaningful as an alumna of KTJ. We are now wondering which students from the 2023 graduating class will one day be invited back to deliver the graduating address to their juniors.
We now have the first of our student speeches, and it's from the former president of the Student Council, Kim Min-ju. Please welcome onto the stage.
Hi, my name is Min-ju, and I was a former president of Student Council Board. Well done. This is the first thing that I wanted to tell you guys. These journeys have not been easy, but we have made it. I still remember the times complaining about why do I have to learn other countries' histories or how my nervous system works. But now we're graduating. I thought secondary school was a place where numerous students compete nonstop with each other to go into university, as if we are running a race, only aspiring for a first place. I felt like a failure if I didn't manage to get to a target point, such as getting into a position of the leadership role, get good grades, and have lots of friends in a set time. So when I didn't get the one I wanted, like leadership roles, good grades, when I got D in the geography, I was like always crying and got disappointed. Now I know it wasn't a big deal, but at that moment, I felt like the whole world just shutting me down. Because I thought this is a race that you only have one chance to win. But it wasn't. High school was a place that taught and trained you how to get up after falling down, so that when you enter the real world, you have the courage to be resilient. It's not a race of people fiercely competing with each other, but it's a form of practice mode in a game of life to help you learn how to fail well and try again. I learned how to not think of my failure as the ending, but as a new beginning. Over the last 2 years, we all suffered from getting bad grades, having problems in human relationships, and not reaching our goals. But in the end, we all grew and matured so much more. There are people who haven't solved their problems yet and still worrying about it. But you know what? We're all main characters in our own lives. In dramas, main characters always eventually solve their problems, no matter what comes up in their lives. I believe in that. There will be people giving out a hand whenever you fall down, and you will eventually get used to falling down and get up again. You'll see, after a while, how your failures shaped you. I hope whenever you face those times, remember our times in KTJ, remember what I said today. Main characters always get into trouble and have unexpected journeys, but they enjoy them and take them as a stepping stones towards their best moments. After this graduation ceremony, we'll be officially graduating high school and making some of the biggest decisions in our lives. Some of them might be a bit scared as well, but just be courageous and go for it. This day all belongs to us, so I wish it to be remembered when you're getting your own happy ending in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Min-ju, for those mature and comforting words. We would now like to invite the head of secondary academic, Mrs. Sarah Chesworth, onto the stage to present the next group of students with the graduation scrolls.
Tamir Ikram Ihsan Almadani. Tan Hong Jung. Tan Kwan Ren, Jeff. Tan Tenjin, Vincent. Tang Shiyi, Josephine. Taki Ramadan Ihsan Al-Madani. Teo Jun Hao. Tay Ka Ting. Tai Wei Han. Umar Amir Hamza, who can't be with us today, so he is represented by a proxy. Wahid Tunio, who can't be with us today, so he is represented by a proxy. Walid Tunio, who can't be with us today, so he is represented by a proxy. Wang Kai Chuan. Yoon Yi Jun. Zhang Min Yi. Zhang Xiangqin, Tracy. Zukrina Amdan Zulaimi.
Thank you, Mrs. Chesworth. Our second student speaker is our former Student Council Secretary, Yoon Yijun. Please welcome him on stage with a warm round of applause.
Fellow graduates, today is a celebration of perseverance, achievement, and triumph. I stand before you as we reflect on our remarkable journey here at KTJ. We aren't just graduating from a school. We are bidding farewell to a significant chapter in our lives, leaving behind a legacy that will remain in our hearts forever. During our time here, we did much more than just attend classes and study. We created something really special together. I mean, look, we forged a home for each other in the middle of a jungle. We built a close-knit community on the foundations of support and laughter, friendships that will last a lifetime. From the short, chubby kids running around Nakia, I know I was a chubby one, no need to remind me, to the fine young adults that we are today. Our journey was not without its challenges, whether it was the countless mosquito bites, exams, or the house runs. I couldn't possibly imagine experiencing it without all of you, the class of 2023. As we stand here on the brink of the future. A great philosopher once said, graduation, it's the time where everyone thinks you're going to throw a cap in the air. But the truth is, you just want to take a nap. But before we go for a nap, let this be a reminder to let the joy and laughter that we've shared here at KTJ be the compass that guides you through the twists and turns of life. Congratulations, class of 2023. We will meet again. Kita akan berjumpa lagi. 我们会再见.
Thank you, Yejun, for those entertaining and reflective words. Mrs. Sarah Chesworth, our head of secondary academic, will now deliver our closing speech.
Might I say that's going to be a very hard act to follow. Thank you very much, the student speeches, which were absolutely amazing. So, Dato Richard Small, Dr. Ping Ling, Dr. Glenn, ladies and gentlemen, staff, and not forgetting our fabulous Form 5 students. Today, we have celebrated an important milestone in your lives. The staff of College Tuanku Jafar, in particular, your wonderful house parents who are hiding at the back there and applauded you on your way in, have witnessed your growth, your struggles, and your triumphs throughout the years. As you know, this is my first year at KTJ, and my goodness me, your attitude and habits for learning have exceeded my expectations. In our amazingly diverse community, you have shown the importance of collaboration and teamwork, discovering that you can achieve far more together than you can alone. 31 of you sat there have been with us since Form 1 back in 2018. 19 of you are also veterans of KTJ Primary School. So, although we didn't call it that back then, you've actually graduated twice from KTJ. And actually, one of you, Jun Hao, has been here since the primary school opened in 2013. So let's go on a journey. Yes, give him a round of applause. He did also wave at me, which was very nice. So let's go on a bit of a journey through time, shall we, Form 5? Your Form 1 experience at College Tuanku Jafar began with such promise and potential. The residential trip to Tanjung Tuan near Port Dickson showed you all at your very best, with new students and those from primary school apparently bonding over the fear of some supernatural at the hotel. So you all told me. This picture, which I'm hoping will appear, there we go, with many familiar faces, was taken at the foot of the lighthouse after a long trek through the jungle. It shows a mixture of excitement and exhaustion, the same look on many of your faces after your final exams last week. Unfortunately, Form 2 and 3 saw you all deal with the great disruption, COVID. But it brought out a new level of resilience in so many of you. Students such as Wahid and Walid, who sat through online lessons at home in Pakistan for 18 months, or Minyi, who studied at home in China for 2 years with no idea when she would join KTJ. Students such as Kenji, Isabel, and Tracy, who for all sorts of reasons have demonstrated outstanding resilience over the past few years, while at the same time dealing with all the sorts of new normals that COVID seemed to keep throwing up. I know that you were all nervous about today, but please remember your accomplishments do not rest on the academic achievements you have attained. Even on results day, remind yourself of that. In your time at KTJ, you have learned the significance of time management, balancing the demands of schoolworks, extracurricular activities, and personal commitments. I'll let you thank your house parents and your parents for all the support, help, potential nagging on occasion that's helped you work all of this out. Parents and esteemed guests, one of the things that stands this group of students out in comparison to other is the camaraderie among them, the spirit that they have had since 2018. A few chats that myself and Mr. Farquharson have had with this year group tells a wealth of stories, be it Mr. Nebbitt's frantic assembly workshops, or trips to see the Scottish play Macbeth at KL Pack, or Jaden and Yinjun's incomparable patter as hosts of the International Relations Club Indian Night. Form 5 also showed off their spirit this year by dressing up for Spooky Night and World Book Day, and also demonstrated their incomparable musical abilities at Talent Time. Form 5, you have honed your communication and leadership abilities, stepping up to take charge of initiatives that have made a positive impact on our school community. Yours is the year group that had a student council board who focused on sustainability by getting hand dryers installed in the dining hall, stepped up to run team building with academic staff. As an aside, I'll never forget how good Mr. Sudan was at charades. What an introduction to school life at KTJ for me. And of course, who could forget the success of changing 30 years of uniform policy in gaining approval for trousers for girls from the Board of Trustees? Well done, Student Council. Could we give them a round of applause, please? People often forget that being the elected representatives isn't always that easy. And it is important to find a way to let off steam. Something perhaps that you didn't know about the student body is that they are all great actors, or at least I hope that's what this photo is showing us, not the actual reality. Talking with many of you paints a picture of Form 5 that, although punctuated with all these great moments of humour and enjoyment, was actually centred around the intense workload of IGCSEs. Boarding students would try and sneak an extra half an hour after lights out to finish a past paper, or would stay in during school exeats to study just that little bit more. Day students, you'll be pleased to know that your secrets are safe with your families, or at least until we all go outside for lunch shortly, and then they can tell us what you got up to at home. But now is the time to relax, and the tension has lifted. This very brief outline of your journey through KTJ shows that loyalty, learning, and leadership is not just a line from our school song, but is embodied in everything you have done in your time with us. I would like to remind you that success is not measured solely by the positions you hold or the material wealth you accumulate, but by the lives you touch, the hearts you inspire, and the positive change you bring to the world. Each one of you has the power to make a difference, to shape a future that is more compassionate, inclusive, and just. As you leave today, you carry with you the unwavering support of your teachers, your friends, and your families, who have stood beside you every step of the way and shared with you the values of integrity, empathy, and mutual respect. Students, please could you show your appreciation to everyone who has supported you at this time. May you continue to learn, to grow, and to make a profound impact on the world. We can't wait to hear all about it. Whether you are staying at College Tuanku Jafar or departing for new challenges, keep in touch. Congratulations, Form 5. Enjoy your summer holidays. The future awaits, and it is in your capable hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chesworth. Our former Student Council Vice President, Sarah Namwon Hee, former Student Council PR Manager, Sharifa Mayada Said Hazir, and former Student Council Liaison Officer, Vincent Tan Ten Jin, will present tokens of our gratitude to our esteemed guests.
We would like to thank KTJ Trustee and Governor, Dr. Richard Small, our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Ping Ling, our principal, Dr. Glenn Moody, and our head of secondary academic, Mrs. Sarah Chesworth. Thank you to all of the guests, and especially we give thanks to all of the parents for attending the ceremony. Finally, congratulations to KTJ's graduating class of 2023. Please be upstanding as our distinguished guests leave the auditorium. Thank you. You may sit down.
All graduating students, their families and friends, and our teachers are invited to lunch in the marquees outside the dining hall. Before that, we would like to have a final group photo of all of the graduating students. This photograph will be taken outside on the main field. After the students have left, parents are invited to go to the main field to take a picture of the graduating students. We kindly request that parents remain on the higher bank of grass so that the drone can take a photograph of just the students. After the group photograph has been taken, families are invited to continue to the photo booth throughout the lunch. Parents, our ushers will be on hand to direct you to the main field and then the dining hall. Could all graduating students please stand and then make their way to the field? parents are now invited to go outside to take a photograph of the graduates. That brings the event to a close. Thank you for attending the celebration today with our graduating class of 2023.